The first step in outsmarting anyone is not to look outward, but inward. The most formidable opponent is not outside of you. It is the part of your mind that reacts without awareness, that rushes without clarity, that desires without control. Mastery begins not in competition, but in contemplation. To master your own mind is to rise above distraction, and to see clearly in moments where others are blind. Thoughts come and go like clouds, but most people chase every cloud they see. They believe every thought, follow every fear, indulge every craving. This is not strength. It is slavery to the untrained mind. The one who is truly sharp does not follow every thought. He observes them, lets them pass, and chooses deliberately which to feed. In that pause between impulse and action, power is born. A disciplined mind does not mean an empty one. It means a mind that is organized, focused, and calm even in the midst of chaos. If you allow your inner world to be ruled by external conditions, you will always be vulnerable. But if you build a fortress of stillness within, no chaos can enter unless you invite it. Outsmarting others, then, begins by refusing to be outsmarted by your own inner noise. In a conversation, the one who speaks the most is not always the strongest. Often, it is the one who is most silent who is most dangerous, not because he is hiding, but because he is listening. The mind that is calm sees the patterns. It sees where others are leaking energy, losing focus, reacting emotionally. When you master your own mind, you stop broadcasting weakness and start absorbing information. There is nothing more deceptive than confidence without self-control. A mind filled with arrogance is loud and rigid. It cannot adapt, it cannot learn, but the mind that is humble and disciplined remains fluid. It shifts like water around obstacles. Outsmarting others is not about talking or outshining them. It is about understanding what they don't even know they reveal. Most people reveal their hand without knowing it. They are transparent in their reactions, predictable in their choices, but the one who watches himself closely becomes unpredictable. He recognizes the familiar traps of ego, the temptation to prove, the hunger to be seen. He sidesteps them not because he is afraid, but because he understands that real dominance is quiet. Training the mind is a daily practice. It is not a moment of inspiration. It is a lifetime of repetition. Like sharpening a blade, the edge of your awareness must be honed through every conversation, every decision, every breath. When you observe your own thoughts as if watching someone else, you begin to see how often they are not yours, but simply habits passed down through fear or imitation. To master your mind is to become the calmest presence in the room, the one who is not pulled by praise nor pushed by pressure. It is to hold stillness like a sword, not to attack, but to defend clarity before words are released into the world. They carry the weight of intention. A wise person does not rush to speak because he understands that words are not merely sound, they are seeds. Each one will take root somewhere, either in the mind of another or within himself. To know before you speak means to check the quality of those seeds, to ensure they carry peace, clarity, and direction. There is a discipline in silence that most people never taste. It is in the moments of restraint that true understanding grows. When you hold your words back, not out of fear, but out of awareness, you begin to observe more than you express. You begin to notice what others miss: tone, hesitation, emotion hidden behind smiles. Silence becomes your teacher, and every moment becomes an opportunity to learn. Many speak to impress, few speak to impact. But words spoken without alignment to truth become noise. To know before you speak is to examine whether your words will elevate or demean, whether they are necessary or simply natural. It is the difference between reacting with noise or responding with clarity. A disciplined tongue reflects a disciplined mind. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. It is the art of absorbing what is being said without forming immediate judgments. When you listen with your full attention, you hear what is behind the words. You hear the fears, the hopes, the confusion. And from that place of depth, when you do choose to speak, your words carry the weight of presence, not just information. There are situations where remaining quiet is not weakness but wisdom. In stillness, truth reveals itself, emotions cool, the right words find their shape. Those who rush to speak often miss the mark. They defend before understanding, argue before observing. But those who know before they speak become masters of timing, delivering the right word like a blade that cuts through confusion without creating wounds. A sharp mind uses speech as a tool, not a crutch. When you speak with intention, you reduce the space for regret. You avoid explaining what didn't need to be said. You leave room for others to reveal themselves. The more you speak, the more you give away what you know. The less you speak, the more you gather what others hide. Even truth must be delivered with care. A harsh truth spoken without awareness can become a weapon, but truth spoken with compassion can become a bridge. Knowing before you speak means measuring not only the accuracy of your words, but also their impact. It is about aligning what is right with what is kind, and choosing the moment when both can be heard. In the end, speech should serve silence, not overpower it. Words should be the expression of understanding, not a substitute for it. When the inner world is calm, the outer voice becomes steady. Knowing before you speak is a discipline that refines both your thoughts and your presence. Words are only the surface of communication. Beneath them lies a deeper current, the energy that reveals true intention. To read energy is to tune into this current, to feel what is not being said, to recognize the space between the lines. It is through this sensitivity that true understanding arises, beyond the distraction of polished speech or clever arguments. Most people hide behind language, using it to mask insecurity, to distract from confusion, or to protect their inner wounds. But energy cannot be hidden. The body shifts, the eyes flicker, the breath shortens. When you train your awareness to perceive these signs, you begin to see with more than your eyes. You begin to hear with more than your ears. The one who listens to energy sees when someone's confidence is forced, when their kindness is a strategy, when their calm is actually tension held tightly under control. This insight does not arise from suspicion, but from clarity. It comes from stillness within, which sharpens perception and removes the noise that blocks intuition. Energy does not lie, but to hear it, you must be silent enough inside. To read energy, you must first manage your own. A disturbed mind distorts perception. If your inner world is restless, your interpretation of others will be clouded. You will see threat where there is none, or trust where caution is needed. But a stable and present mind reflects reality clearly. From that mirror, you understand people without needing them to explain themselves. Words are often rehearsed. People prepare what to say, but few know how to align their energy with their message. That is why someone can say, "I'm fine," and still radiate sadness. That is why someone can promise loyalty but carry the scent of betrayal. If you focus only on words, you become easy to mislead. But when you sense energy, you understand the truth that words often avoid. In every interaction, energy speaks first. It enters the room before a person does. It lingers long after the conversation ends. When you sharpen your awareness, you begin to notice these subtle imprints. The shift in atmosphere when someone speaks from the heart versus when they speak from ego. The way a room feels different after tension is released or trust is broken. Reading energy is not about judgment. It is about alignment. It is about recognizing when someone's presence supports your peace or disturbs it. It is about knowing when to engage and when to step back, not because of what was said, but because of what was felt. This sensitivity becomes a compass, guiding you toward people, spaces, and decisions that honor your inner stillness. To develop this skill, spend more time in silence, watch without needing to analyze, listen without needing to respond, feel without needing to explain. As you do, the surface noise of the world fades, and the underlying truth becomes louder than any spoken word. To stay 3 steps ahead is not to run faster than others, but to walk with deeper awareness. It begins not with predicting what others will do, but by understanding what you are likely to do. A disciplined person anticipates his own impulses before they arise and makes choices from clarity rather than habit. The first step ahead is always inward. The world moves quickly, but most people respond blindly. They react to words, to moods, to situations without pause. But the one who moves with foresight does not live in reaction. He lives in preparation. He studies patterns, watches behavior, and notices where energy is flowing. While others are surprised, he has already adjusted his posture. To stay ahead is not to manipulate, but to master rhythm. In every interaction, there is a rhythm, a timing of thought, speech, and movement. The wise are not simply quicker, they are quieter inside, allowing them to sense these rhythms clearly. They speak when the moment is right, act when the conditions are aligned, and withdraw when energy begins to scatter. Anticipation is born from observation. Most people are too busy projecting their own voice to notice what is happening around them. But the one who listens with patience, who observes with detachment, sees where others are going before they get there. This vision does not require prediction. It requires presence, because most outcomes are not surprises. They are the result of unnoticed repetition. To stay 3 steps ahead is also to stay unattached. When you are not attached to winning, to praise, or to control, your mind becomes flexible. You are not caught off guard by change because you are already prepared for multiple paths. You have studied the terrain while others were distracted by their ego. Flexibility becomes your strength, and presence becomes your armor. True foresight is quiet. It is not about showing others that you know. It is about moving in such a way that others wonder how you knew. Your strength is not in being seen, but in seeing. You become like water, adjusting, flowing, shaping itself to the environment, yet always moving with intention. Each step forward is taken from a still and balanced center. Remaining ahead also means tending to the small details others overlook. A loose word, a distracted glance, a repeated mistake. These are not random. They are signs, and the one who sees them can act before the consequence appears. The one who is ahead sees the seed, not just the tree. He recognizes where a small correction today prevents a larger cost tomorrow. Preparation is not a matter of strategy alone. It is a way of living. Every morning you prepare your mind. Every conversation you sharpen your attention. Every decision you consider the long path. While others chase shortcuts, you build foundations. And from those foundations, you move not with fear, but with clarity, not with speed, but with direction. Presence is a silent power. It does not shout, it does not push, it does not demand attention, yet it changes the entire atmosphere of a room. To dominate with presence means to bring such stability, such clarity, that others feel it before a word is spoken. Your calm becomes their reference, your stillness becomes their mirror. Force seeks to control through pressure. It relies on fear, volume, and resistance, but presence influences without needing to impose. It draws attention not by aggression, but by alignment. The one who is fully present becomes undeniable. not because of how much he speaks, but because of how completely he listens, sees, and stands in himself. People are naturally drawn to certainty, not the kind that is rigid or arrogant, but the kind that radiates quiet assurance. This certainty comes not from knowing everything, but from being rooted in what you do know and accepting what you do not. Presence grows when you are no longer distracted by performance, no longer chasing validation. To dominate with presence is to eliminate the noise within. A mind that is still, a breath that is deep, an attention that is undivided. These are signs of someone who cannot be moved by external storms. While others are scattered, the present one remains anchored. This stillness allows you to respond with precision instead of reacting with confusion. People often confuse dominance with loudness, but true power needs no volume. In fact, the louder someone speaks, the more they reveal their instability. A powerful presence communicates through posture, through timing, through energy. Even in silence, there is communication. Even in stillness, there is movement. The less you force, the more you influence. Presence is sharpened through practice. Every time you choose awareness over distraction, every time you hold your ground without tension, every time you observe without the need to interfere, you deepen your presence. It is not something you wear for others to see. It is something you cultivate so deeply that others feel it without understanding why. Domination through presence means you do not chase control. You embody it. You do not demand respect. You become worthy of it. Your presence itself becomes instruction. Others adjust to your frequency, not because you force them, but because they sense something within you that they lack within themselves. You become the quiet standard in a world of noise. When presence leads, force becomes unnecessary. A single glance replaces a lecture. A calm response dissolves an argument. A centered posture shifts the tension in a space. This is not magic, it is mastery. It is the invisible weight of someone who has trained not to overpower the world, but to master the self so completely that the world must adjust. The desire to win is deeply rooted in the ego. It seeks validation through comparison, strength through dominance, and peace through victory. But when you are attached to winning, you become a slave to the outcome. You begin to measure your value by things outside your control. Detachment from the need to win is not weakness. It is the beginning of true freedom. To detach does not mean to stop caring. It means to shift your focus from outcome to process. When the process becomes your meditation, each action becomes intentional, each step becomes clear. The mind no longer chases rewards or fears loss. It simply does what is needed. With precision and presence, those who obsess over winning become predictable. Their emotions betray them. Their need becomes visible. But when you no longer need to win, you become calm, unreadable, and steady. You observe others rush. You observe others react, while you remain centered. This stillness becomes your greatest strategy, because it is not dependent on results. The one who is free from the need to win is also free from the fear of losing. This gives him range. He can take risks others avoid. He can remain composed in moments where others crumble. This composure is not a trick. It is the result of being anchored in something deeper than victory. Purpose, principle, and inner stability. Attachment clouds vision. It turns strategy into desperation. It causes one to speak when silence is needed, to force when patience would win, to collapse when things don't go as planned. But the detached mind is clear. It sees opportunities others miss. It flows instead of fights. It adjusts without losing center. The world teaches competition, but mastery requires detachment. Every victory fades. Every achievement loses its shine. What remains is how you moved, how you spoke, how you carried yourself. When you focus on who you are becoming rather than what you are winning, you begin to build something no one can take. Letting go of the need to win gives you the ability to truly see the game. You see where others are playing with desperation, where their emotions lead their decisions. You are no longer inside the game, you are above it, watching it unfold, moving with purpose instead of panic. This mind, it does not make you passive, it makes you precise. You do not act from hunger, but from clarity. You do not seek to dominate, but to align. You move from inner instruction, not outer pressure. And in this way, even when others believe they are winning, you are never truly behind.